Hey everyone, the Star Wars Legion June 2025 points update has dropped and it's shaking up the meta. We've got a discounted Yoda, sleeper cells going up, riot control troopers coming down. Who knows where we're going to end, but I'm going to run through some bits and pieces with you here today and we'll see where we lie, get some predictions, and make sure you jump in, let me know what you're most excited about in the comments. So first up, I wanted to just show, obviously, I was scrolling away and we do have the transmission. It's got a bunch of explainer text in there. I've got a summary on the Dissect website as well. If you don't want to read that one, you just want to skim read, I'd say that'll be a better read for you, and it's linked in the description below. And then we do have the actual errata. As I said, it's effective as of recording. So yeah, if you've got an event coming this weekend, you better punch your list in, make sure it's still legal. But as we come down, we're going to start at the top, basically work through. We've got the Rebels. So we have Ahsoka coming down from 145 to 115. That's huge. I think Ahsoka was already one of the meta staples for Rebels. If you wanted that lightsaber that wasn't necessarily Commander Luke, I think Ahsoka Tano is going to see a lot of play. Thing I am excited about, if you drop to the bottom of the Rebel section, we have Sabine Wren coming down and the Darksaber coming down as well. It's a 30-point decrease for Sabine. So that might get us to see the Sabine Ahsoka combos that you can do. Still need a cheap commander in there, but what else is Leia going to do? Other notable changes I think that will be meta affecting is the AT-AT kind of got a little bit more expensive. You get the 4 points on the actual unit, and then the gun options all cost 15 points now, effectively. So you're just choosing what gun you want rather than trying to squeeze points out by taking the laser cannon. The Mandalorian Resistance got a points drop. I don't know if it'll be enough to actually force their way into a meta. With a supercell increase, you might kind of get a little bit of rebalancing there. I think most people have been running 2 squads of sleeper cell rather than the max 3 anyway, and I think you can probably squeeze in those points with a little bit of jiggery pokery, especially when you consider that the Ahsoka reduction cancels out the sleeper cell increase. So if you're running Ahsoka and sleeper cell, your list probably hasn't changed too much. One thing that I do find interesting is the Rebel veterans, the prepared positions decrease. I think these are now pretty close to viable. The primary veteran squad itself hasn't changed, but the Rebel veteran squad unit upgrade has got cheaper by 13 points. And you do have the CM-0/93 trooper, the heavy, is 4 points cheaper as well. Actually makes it quite an attractive minimum-sized unit plus heavy. I think you can still do stuff with that, get play, but it's still at prepared positions. People don't like putting that unit out there to get shot. But as we're going to get to later, I think we're getting closer with these prepared positions. Yeah, the Astromech went up as well for Sleeper Cell, and I think that kind of covers everything for Rebels. So let's move on to Galactic Empire. This really excites me. Obviously, we have the Deploy with Garrison podcast. If you're not a listener, you should definitely subscribe, and you can watch it on YouTube, or you can find it on all of your normal podcast platforms. But the Deploy with Garrison podcast, we are all fans of our Scarif base list. So Shore Troopers coming down is huge for me. Death Troopers getting a reduction. I feel like there's definitely a Scarif theme list I can build now. I'm going to have to go back in. Krennic's already good value and see what I can do here. But the reduction for Death Troopers just takes a little bit of that pain point out. They were a very expensive unit when you added in the heavy. Now your Shore Troopers, I think this is actually pretty good value. If my math holds, I think you can get the full unit for 126 points now. That's double-sized unit and the heavy, and it's still rolling red saves. They start off with an evade, and then if you get your careful advantage where you get the extra evade as well, you can stack a couple of evades on them, hopefully survive that first turn and have a solid unit. But I think that this is probably my most attractive third position squad now. I definitely think that 70 points was just ridiculous. Dropping down to the same as the old base price, I think, is really good value. And I'm definitely going to give these a try in a double-sized squad. and hopefully see how it goes. With Riot Control Squad, I'm pretty excited for. If you check for transmission, it does mention that both the marksman from the Sweeper Cell and the Riot Trooper are going to be addressed later. So my suspicion is that the cards that might actually get an errata rather than a points change, just because they don't seem to be seeing any play, or else there's something drastic going to change points-wise that we want to test a little bit further. But this unit dropping down 18 points effectively gives you a really decent sized unit that can do a lot of damage in melee and kind of get its job done at a more reasonable cost now. Coming down 18 points overall, I think we might see Riot Control squads, Stormtrooper Riot squads getting a little bit more play, because we all love the KX series and we just want a reason to play them anyway. So yeah. So this one surprised me. Stormtroopers dropping to 40 was a little bit of a surprise. I didn't expect to see that coming. But we do have a really cheap corpse unit for it, a Galactic Empire now. And then the speeder bikes, a lot of the speeder units got a reduction. I think it said in the transmission that they kind of over-indexed on the survivability and how rugged they thought it were going to be. So I feel like Blizzard Force gets a bit of a buff here, and just most of the speeds in general, I think, are very attractive now. As we come down to Galactic Republic, my two favorite changes is Echo. We were literally just talking about Echo on the previous podcast, about how expensive it was and how I didn't feel like I could get value out of him. 52 points felt like a big ask. 46 kind of feels a little bit more reasonable. Personally, I would like to see him a bit cheaper still, but that's just me. They do have a bunch of other things, though. I got a buff to my Wookiee list. Yoda coming down by 20 points means that I can now afford a third Force upgrade for him in my my Wookiee Defender list. This one here is pretty crazy for me. Padme is now cheaper than R2D2. 52 points for an operative. I think that's great value for Padme. I definitely expect to see her starting to creep into meta as maybe a cheap activation, a bit of a disruptor. She can do some great things. The ATRT here, I think, got the same treatment. The heavy weapons changed, all cost 15 points. So we should see an increase in play in the Rotary Blaster. But it's kind of contingent on you not needing that impact from laser cannon. If the Separatists still seem to dominate with their aquas and crabs, or the double snail is doing well with experimental droids at the moment. So you want to kind of add that impact hint edge that laser cannon gives you. So that will probably stay around. The thing that might happen is this reduction in bark speeder cost. Could mean that we get a resurgence, because generally what happens in Republic is these are pretty closely balanced in the toolkits and what we can do, and we kind of find which one offers a better value, and this might push Barks back into the mix. Cody coming down to match Captain Rex is interesting. Both the same points now. I already thought that Cody was a raw stat stick, and being 10 points cheaper was pretty appealing. The LAC coming down to 90, I think that's just a kind of a bit of an experiment on AMG's part, testing the waters, seeing what they can do with this kind of platform. If it's 90 points, it's still expensive for a transport, so you are going to put points onto it to kind of make it shoot. So where you land after that is going to be interesting. For Separatists, we have a Sarge coming down a little bit. 15 points is it lets you get a bit of a toolkit on her without too big of an investment. Kind of, if it's not something like Darth Vader, I kind of like sitting around the 125 points is where I start getting uncomfortable if it costs more than that. The Sarge already starting at 130 meant that she was just a little bit outside of my comfort zone. Droidicas, this is the expected change. We all felt that platform was pretty good at 60. I'd been running 3 of them in my experimental droids list, kicking them up to 67 Definitely stings a little bit. I was running pretty tight on points already after the changes to the commando droids. So this actually does force changes into my style of list. I don't know if you're running double snail, you're probably not running triple droidicas anymore. You're probably going to have to go down to two. If you're not running double snail, I think you're probably going to find the space for that 21-point increase. I don't know exactly what you're going to have to drop, but something will have to change. So I think the droidicas are pretty vital to our experimental droids list. And if you're not running experimental droids, I don't really think this is going to come into play too much, because I think the crabs are great value and it definitely allows them to see more play. So you probably have the double crab spider droid once that's more available, will probably become a little bit more popular with this increase. Poggle Lesser coming down to 55 is another giant decrease, 25-point drop. A really cheap activation. Obviously, Separatists don't struggle for those activation costs anyway with the B1s, but it's interesting and kind of does set the tone for the Geonosian Battle Force, getting a little bit more spam when they eventually get around to doing that one. Sunfat coming down as well is pretty sizable decreases all around there. The stops coming down to 78, kind of in line with that speeder decrease that we spoke about. Then my favorites that I'm currently working on, the Mandalorian Super Commandos, coming down to 66. That's actually going to add up really quick. I'm trying to get a list with 4 units in there. So that's a bigger saving, obviously, the more you spam that unit. So that's pretty good for me. I'm pretty excited. And then the pikes coming down is a cheeky little decrease. I think we're already quite balanced between Black Suns and Pikes purely because of the change to meta of the game getting to a closer range anyway. So this little decrease just gives you a little bit more room for toys. So you probably get the same unit, but you now definitely get to have your targeting what's it called? Your targeting scopes for free effectively. So you get to have a little bit of precise on that unit as well. And then Maul Arrival Darksaber going down to a 0 cost upgrade. I agree with this completely. I think it was always more of a struggle than it should be to justify that 10-point cost for it when you were losing that 8 dice attack, 9 with tenacity. You were kind of dropping that down in the old saber. The double-bladed saber with saber throw was really good because you got to pick just the red dice. So going down to Darksaber always hurt a little bit. I would have liked to have seen Darksaber lose sidearm ranged, so you could saber throw your double-bladed lightsaber and just had to use a Darksaber into melee. Then I would have paid 10 points for it. But given that it had sidearm range as well, and it kind of forced you into a 3 dice attack. Yeah, I think 0. You do get the command, you do get surge crit, and you do get to have cunning. But you are giving up a really, really strong dice pool for that attack. So yeah, I'm very happy with that. And yeah, that kind of covers all the changes. The biggest one to me, obviously, I'm excited to get my my mercenaries. I think my list has probably got 20 more points to play with that I'm currently working on. So I get to go back to the drawing board and see what I can put in there. Hopefully the Galactic Republic match is shaken up a little bit by this arc increase, so especially 501st. You've got to find 24 points to run those 4 units of arc troopers. So that should see some changes there. I think this does help Empire a lot. I think speeder bikes coming down in Blizzard Force. I think you want 4 speeder bikes because there's still a bunch of objectives that they can play. So that's a 40-point extra to play within that squad. This is interesting to me just purely because of the Scarif base defenders kind of thing that I'm looking at. Hopefully, I'll get to play my nice Scarif themed list and deploy those garrisons. And yeah, Ahsoka and Sabine, I'm be interested to see if they get more play now, because across that it's a 60-point decrease. That's pretty good, right? If you want to run that purring, take advantage of a command card and and do some fun stuff. So yeah, let me know what you think the biggest change is going to be, what's going to have the biggest impact. And then, yeah, remember these changes are all tournament legal as of recording. So if you're watching this, these are already the points. If you haven't rebuilt your list yet, you need to go and check it. But there's a full breakdown on the website. The link's in the description. If you want to chat about it, let us know in the comments or head over onto Discord. It's also linked in the description, and you'll be able to join in the conversation there.